Welcome to Better Marriage Daily, where we give you tips on how to love each other in spite of each other. My name is V.
And I'm Sean. you excited, bro?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
That's we'll tell y'all in a minute.
Yeah, what you, go ahead, tell
I'll
them.
tell you now.
Tell 'em.
I am not the speaker of the two of us, so I told him today that I wanted to give the introduction to you guys. Little steps for me, little steps.
Baby step,
Baby steps.
baby steps.
That's right.
That's right.
Or in
You did great.
Julian's words, when he was like 2 or 3 little steps.
Hey, you did great.
Thank you.
You did great.
Thank you.
Look, it was very quick. I remember it. Let me do it right now. That's it. You're gonna get better and better and better.
I am.
Yes, indeed. So today we're gonna talk about 5 red flags. Now, again, we do these things. We do these things off the top of our heads because we don't want to overproduce.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We've got 23 years of marriage, so it's not like we don't know.
Hmm.
Like, it ain't like we don't know. We got 23 years of marriage and 59 and 55 years of life very soon. Very soon.
Very soon.
You know? So we don't want to can it. So let's get 5. Let's think about 5. Think about 5. Well, what's one big red? We'll write them down.
Hmm.
I'll write them down.
Okay.
And as we come up with them. So what's one? Red
I can
flag,
tell you.
a
I
red
can
flag.
tell you. For me, the biggest red flag is how pay attention to how a person deals with their family, how they deal with their mom. Number one. That's
How a
it.
man. Okay.
How a
they deal
man
with their
deals,
family.
yeah. How the man deals
How
with his
a
family,
man-
specifically the women in his family. Specifically,
Okay.
that was a huge thing for me.
All right. And that's one.
Hmm.
All right. And what's another number?
2 is
Oh, how they deal with money.
right. How they deal with money.
3
3 is
it would be
how they navigate through paying bills.
that's deal with money.
That's still money. Yeah.
Deal money.
Jobs.
How they deal with conflict.
Yeah. How do they deal with conflict, and career is one of them.
Well, what's a red
That's-
flag? What's a red flag?
If they can't keep a job, always bouncing from job to job and always complaining about their job that they're at. If it's the same complaint, there's a problem there. That's what I feel like. The same complaint, no matter what job
Okay. And
they
5.
have.
And 5. Red flag.
I would say personally, if that person doesn't listen to you, or the way that they
Selfish.
communicate,
If there's-
communication, the way they communicate with you.
All right. So we got the 5. I'll put them up there. So number 1, how they deal with family, man and woman,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
How they deal with money, how they deal with conflict, job bouncing and complaining. That's red flags. And number 5, the way they communicate with you. So let's start off with how they deal with family. Talk about it, baby. Talk about it.
What has always been a deal breaker for me?
I was wondering why you was talking so calm,
Oh, okay.
because you can hear yourself
Yes, I can.
so lovely.
Yes. What's been probably the number one sign is I've always paid attention to the way a man, man, deal with their mother specifically.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Yeah.
why is that?
Why is that? Because I've noticed that people who don't deal with their mama, that if they have issues with their own mother, 9 times out of 10, that they're gonna deal with you that way, in the same kind of way.
Yeah.
If they're disrespectful, if they are estranged from their mom, don't speak about her in a respectful way, or if you're around them in just the way they are when their mother is around. You have to pay attention to that, I think, because if a person is that way with their own mother, the person that brought them into the world, that's a huge red flag.
Huge. Okay, and from the other side, how she treats her, how she relates to her mom and her brothers, and her dad and her brothers, and it's actually the whole family,
the whole family.
Yeah. But but you generally tend to understand that mothers and sons and fathers and daughters are going to be the closest relationships,
right?
Daddy's little girl, mama's boy, and those things are real.
They are.
They're very real. What level of mama's boy is he?
Right.
What level? I mean, that respect and reverence, or does it go into worship?
Right.
Respect and reverence, I think we can all agree with. When it goes to worship, that becomes a problem.
That becomes a problem because it matters to that person what mom thinks. Every area of their life.
Right. What does the Bible say about it? When a man leaveth his family, cleave it. When y'all leave y'all's mom and daddy, cleave unto one another. Yep. And y'all come together. And then if you take that away from the Bible, if you say, whenever you get married, it's your house first, then everybody else.
Right. And then, in some cases, that is not so.
Prime example, everybody, the internet was recently all a buzz about Mea Culpa.
Right.
The Tyler Perry movie, Mea Culpa. This is not an advertisement for it, but it's a great place to talk about it. This couple was she was a lawyer and he was a doctor, and he was a very, very, very big mama's boy. I'm sorry, this is a spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it, this is a spoiler alert.
Yeah, it was.
So he was a very big mama's boy to the point to where he lost his job because he had a drug and drinking problem. Went to work high, smelling like alcohol, and they fired him. And he never told his mom. And how long had it been?
It had been
like
months.
Months? Not a year yet. Like 6 months.
6 months.
Like 6 months he had lost his job. And so the wife covered all the bills and everything like that. And whenever they were around the mother, the mom was just very, very antagonistic.
Yes.
And
insulting all the time.
The boy would never take up for his wife.
Never.
So if your spouse or your intended spouse doesn't have your back legitimately, not unreasonably.
Right.
But if they don't have your back in family situations in which, the family is treating you unfairly and they don't stand up for you, it is very, very possible that they won't stand up for you in life if it's not convenient.
Exactly.
Because to stand up against their family is an inconvenience. And if they're willing to be inconvenienced with their family, then you got a winner.
Right.
But yeah, so big, he was a huge mama's boy, and never took up for his wife ever. And so that's not cool.
No.
That's not cool at all. So so there's that. And then if a woman, if it's on the other side, if a woman is estranged from her father, then the respect level for you is going to be low as the husband.
Right.
It's going to be low. And you got to notice that and recognize that. So if she doesn't have a relationship with her father, it's going to be difficult. Again, these are the commons. These aren't every situation. If you are a woman who's estranged from your father and you are a great wife, you are the exception to the rule.
And there are a lot of exceptions to the rule.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about things to watch out. If you're estranged from your father and you're married or you're in a good relationship, then you haven't elicited any of the red flag, anything to set off a red flag. So you're okay. But if you're in a relationship with a woman who has daddy issues and is estranged from her father, then y'all might want to clear that up before y'all go any further.
Right.
Because once you get married, the way she dealt with disappointment and conflict with her father is exactly how she's going to deal with it with you. And that's going to be distance and silence.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the number one rule for marriage? You got to communicate. And if that person is not a communicator whenever they're disappointed / upset with you, then that's going to be a problem, especially if you're a communicator. So you have that. You have the people who are in relationship with their family, and everything goes through their family. It's like if the family gets a vote in your in their relationship.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, if you're cool with that,
yeah. But those are potential.
That's
problems.
Big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's big red flag. So what else can we think about as a family issue? If the family's always trying to get in your business, you know, that's not going to be cool.
Right.
And again, not that you have business that they don't need to be in, but I mean, I've just heard horror stories.
Yes.
I've heard, and then the movies show you stories like that too. But I've heard horror stories about people who were in relationship and like these women couldn't not have their family involved, and these men could not have their families involved in their marriage. And it's like, you know, what will my family say? And it's like, well, it don't matter what they say. It's what we doing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Unless, of course, the family's paying for it. And if the family's paying for it, they got to say. If you went to the family to get it paid for, then they got to say.
Kind of have a say.
Yeah. So on your end, you checked out my family. That was the first thing you named. So
yes. It is so funny because every time we were together, I was checking out your family. I was having a great time, but I am watching.
Paying attention.
I listened to the way you spoke about your mom. I listened to the way you spoke about your sister, and you loved them dearly and you protected them. You know, I know in families that things happen, issues come up and things like that, but you adored and adore your mother.
Absolutely.
You know, so I knew, and you adore your sister and your aunties and you know, and all of them. I just watched your interaction with all of them.
Yeah.
Which gave me a peace because you loved them and you showed them love. You know, you weren't going to allow anybody to disrespect them. You know, first of all, you weren't going to be disrespectful. First of all, you were not, and you were not. You've never been disrespectful.
That little 4'11" and don't forget her 3/4.
Ooh. And I don't. And for me, I know that it's okay for you to be a mama's boy because of the love that you have for your mother, and you adore her, and you want to take care of her.
Yeah, it's respect and reverence.
Exactly.
It's not idol worship. And,
that's right.
You know, and total subjection.
That's right. So it made me feel safe. And that's you know, that's a big thing for me is to feel safe.
And I've been noticing that lately. That's you've been articulate. You've been going to therapy.
Me and Jesus.
Me and Jesus.
Yeah. So that was one thing that, you know, I fell in love with about you. So I knew that I would be safe. You know, you didn't ignore your mom. Anytime she was around, you were loving on her. She was loving on you. You know, the way you spoke about, you know, your sister, did everything that you could to help her, you know, being her advisor and you know, big brother and dad in a lot of ways, you know, and even so now. But I paid attention to all of that. I didn't, you know, you didn't know, but I was watching.
Absolutely.
And listening. You know?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll say this part delicately. But we already talked about it on the thing when I said I'm gonna restore your faith in men.
Yes.
You know,
and you did that, yeah. All of those things.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about me noticing the way you dealt with your family, you know, in particular your father, you know. And then I was like, okay, that's cool. Because, you know, because because you were extremely respectful.
Oh yeah.
I mean, extremely
Yes,
respectful.
absolutely.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So that was I was like, okay. But but you're still extreme, and I picked up on that. You're still extremely private and solitary.
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I am.
you're like, I love my family, but I'm good.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll see him,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, wow.
And then there are times that I have this,
Yeah.
this,
Oh, yeah,
this
now.
energy.
Yeah, now, but
especially now.
I think it was the job. I think
It
because you were
probably
working,
was. I was just
you were just like
I was
tired.
just tired
You
and
was tired all the
exhausted
time and whatnot.
yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed that shift as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, family was not necessarily high on your priority to do list coming up, but when we got together,
Mm-hmm.
because it was all about work,
Yeah. Oh
work,
yeah.
work and survival.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh yeah.
and then release
Beyond the shadow of a doubt.
and then release. Now, holidays, oh yeah, you with the family.
Yeah.
But other than that, you keep in touch, you call,
Mm-hmm.
you know
we
what's
always
going on.
did that. We
Yeah.
always did that no matter what. But it just if I was working there and then I stopped and visited, then it took me longer to come home. You know what I'm saying?
And you protected that.
And I protected that.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I would
And
go on a Saturday and
tell 'em,
things
and that's
like
okay.
that.
Tell 'em,
and
tell
that's okay, yeah. But I was always in communication. We talked a lot at work because my position, I had, there was a phone in the office. So a lot of our communication came from talking on the phone. There was never a week that I didn't talk to my mom, my sisters. I would even, sometimes call my dad just to, tell mama, say, hey, tell dad I'm gonna call him in a few minutes, So I did a lot of that from the office.
Right.
But
what I was saying is let them know how important it is to protect your space and your sanity by not overextending yourself and doing things that you think you should do.
Yeah.
Even though we understand you don't have to do those things because you're communicating with them and you see their face every once in a while. But since you understand that seeing their face and going and being in their face is going to put you in a hole,
right?
For the next few days because you didn't keep your routine and get your sleep and whatnot.
Right, yeah. Sacrifices had to be made.
You dig what I'm saying? And, and every once in a while, if it's been a minute, you got to sacrifice.
Yeah, I sacrificed, my evening, my day,
right,
to get on the road and go visit them because they're an hour away. 2 hours
when you
away.
when you were there.
Oh, when I was there, yeah. I sacrificed, a couple of hours,
but
just
especially
to go.
When you got here.
Yeah. And so it became increasingly important for me to be like, hey, you have to sacrifice some time because it's been, several months. They hadn't seen your face.
Yeah, because that's when we're young. When we're young, it's easy to say, okay, I'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
But after you cross a certain age, you're like, you know what? I need to make time.
I need to make time.
I need to make time. So when she moved an hour away, I noticed you. I noticed, you know what? You're consistent. You're consistent. I noticed a bigger drive to be in your family's face, to see them and be in their presence when you moved here.
Yes.
So being in Port Arthur is like me being home.
Right.
Oh, they're here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
They're here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If I want to talk to them and see them, I can go. See them because I talk to them on the phone all the time, so I know they're there. But I don't have to go touch them because I'm in the same city.
Right.
But then when you left the city, you're like, oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm the same thing as when I'm gone, you're like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
And also, when Anthony got of age to be home alone by himself, I saw less of them in the city because he was able to be at home. When my mom and my family were, when he was there with them helping to babysit, well, I saw them all the time.
Yeah.
I was in and out or whatever, stayed for 20 minutes and talk and then leave. But as he got older, I didn't see them as frequently as I once did because I didn't need the help, the support.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. That's really awesome. And in that same vein about how they deal with their family, man, how about this one? As a 1A.
Okay.
1A. how they deal with people. Like, do they talk about people all the time?
Mm.
You know, are they short with people?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've seen people who are like, they're talking to their wives in public, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're dealing with people like a waiter or
They're very
a service purpose, they're very,
Ooh.
very short, very,
Rigid.
temperature, very, very,
Mm-hmm.
but what you call it? Whatever, what we call that? What do we call that?
I don't know the term. I forget the term.
They can be very antagonistic,
Yes.
with people.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe that those people are like that at home. In certain instances.
In certain instances.
Because understanding that everybody can be nice.
Absolutely.
But when you're playing a role, pro tip. If you can't be an Academy Award winning actor or actress, stop acting in this relationship. Stop acting.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to have to keep up that act.
It's exhausting.
And it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it. So who you are is going to come out eventually. So, you might want to be paying attention to people. And if you're the actor or if your acting got the person that you've now fallen in love with, then you need to have a conversation with them and say, hey, look, I ain't going to be doing this the whole time.
That's true.
I can't. I am just like, what I'm saying? Like, because, I
throw me under the bus.
I found out, out that, we didn't like to be as amorous as we were whenever we were not married.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. You did.
I was like, wait, this wasn't in the brochure. This was not in the trial pack. My trial period was very exciting. Now I've signed the contract. Yeah. What is going on?
And that's because that there shouldn't be a trial pack. I'm just saying, there shouldn't be a trial pack.
There should not be a trial pack. Yeah. We're gonna do one on that. I got that in there. We gotta do one on that.
Yeah. That's why there shouldn't be one.
But the trial period, you know what I'm saying? The 60-day money back guarantee, whatever they're gonna call it. That you call dating. That you call dating.
60 days.
That's
funny.
The 2 year, because people be dating about an average of a year and a half, 2 years before stuff start going crazy. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so watching how people deal with other people, are they really bitter? Are they, because people, I think a lot of divorces happen because people ignored those red flags. They ignored it. I mean, I talk to people all the time. Well, I knew he didn't really like to talk. He was quiet, but I thought, once we didn't have all the distractions of dating and we were there together, no. If the man didn't like to talk when he saw you every once in a while,
or a woman,
if the woman didn't want to talk when she saw you every once in a while, then what? What's it gonna be like when you're married?
Yeah,
they're not gonna want to talk. And it's going to be more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get to talk to them about as much as you did when you were dating.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's real.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
That's real.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
So if they don't like to talk, you got to watch that. You just pay attention to the person and the way they deal with people. That's family. That's coworkers. That's friends. All that. Oh. Man, I got to add another. We said 5. We're on 5A. Let me see. Is there a? Okay, we'll just because it's still about people, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are their friends like?
Ooh. Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. What are their friends like? Yeah.
What are their friends like?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Do they have trifling friends?
Right.
And if they have trifling friends, are they the most trifling? Or are they the one that's the or can you assess if they're the one that centers the group?
Exactly.
And if they have these trifling friends, how much of a part do those trifling friends play in influencing them?
That's right. Because, being influenced. I mean, I can remember just, growing up in high school, even after high school, or, middle school, high school, college, whatever, friends. I remember that people said sometimes when I was, with a certain group, group of friends, I remember people asking me like, "Hey, why are you hanging around with them?"
Yeah.
I've had several, and the crazy part of it is they were men who would ask me that question. Why are you hanging around so and so? And then they would tell me certain things or whatever, and I'd be like, well, I can't say that I've seen those things.
Or that's just
Or
what they do.
yeah, that's just what they do.
I don't do that.
I'm not a part of that. Whatever they do when I'm not around.
But people are going, but birds of a
But
feather.
that's right. That's right. And so you start to, as you get older, you start to learn how important that is. Because I know now I was being judged
By some people.
by the people that I hung around.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until people got to know me personally that they realized, like, you don't even belong
One
in
of
that
these
group.
things don't belong here.
You don't even belong in that group. I'm not saying that they can't be your friends, but I'm just letting you know from the outside looking in.
Yeah, whenever I
know.
speak, whenever I do motivational speaking, I tell people, and I'll tell y'all do this exercise with me. Close your eyes and think about your 5 closest friends, right? Think about it. You smell them. You know how they smell. That cologne. The way their hair products smell. The if they smoke, say if they smoke cigars, weed, cigarettes, whatever, their smell. Smell them, feel them, see their faces. Okay, now let me ask you this: do they want the same things that you want? So when you're looking at that potential spouse, look at their 5 friends, right? And this is why. Do those 5 people want what you want? Do they think like you think? Now, again, you can have different thinkers in your group, but if the pervasive thought process and modeling of the group is one that's not cohesive or cooperative to where you're going, then that 5 is probably, I call it your fire 5. Who's your fire 5? So the reason, okay, now open your eyes. Now, you've seen those people. How many of those people do you know after what I just told you? The fire 5, right? Those people will infect you before you affect them.
Preach.
Meaning, if I cut myself and I don't take care of it, what's going to happen?
Gets infected.
The infection is going to be where?
On
the
inside, yes.
On the inside, right? But if I just do this and push you, right? I have affected you.
Right.
Where did that happen? On the
push.
On the
outside.
So your fire 5, the people that your potential spouse hangs out with, the people that you hang out with, they will infect you before you affect them.
Right.
Meaning they will have you doing crazy stuff or have you acting crazy before you have them acting good. So you have to limit your time with those people.
The influence is
the
powerful.
Influences. So that's number 1, A, B, and C. How do they treat people? How do they treat the people that's in their family and in their circle? And who do they hang around? That's a major red flag if it's not people that you think is conducive to your lifestyle being the way you imagine it / want it to be. Is it a deal breaker? Right? Now we come to number 2. How they deal with money.
Very important.
Important?
Very important. Yeah.
How they deal with money.
How they deal with money.
So if your potential spouse is a free spender and never saves and is not open to it and says stuff like, man, YOLO, you only live once. But they're constantly having those red letters come to the house, the red ink letters come to the house, talk about, stuff getting cut off, constantly late and stuff like that. If you're okay with that,
Yeah.
or if you have enough money to be able to offset that, then that's not a problem.
Yet.
Yet.
It's not a problem yet.
Not a problem yet. But if not, or if they don't like to save.
Right. That everything they make just everything that's in their pocket just
Burns
burning
a
a hole.
Gotta spend it.
They can't. They're just nerved up. This money is and I need to spend.
If they have to have the newest new.
Yes.
If they have to have the newest
comes
new
out
every time, like people call it keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
If they got a keeping up with the Joneses thing, and that's not you, think about that. That's a lot of pressure.
Lots.
In a lifetime of having to always, because when you're with somebody like that, you're working to keep up appearances.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's a hard pill to swallow. And then on the other side, is your spouse, your intended spouse, or your spouse one who doesn't like to spend money at all?
That's conditional, sir. That's conditional.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. That's conditional.
Lord have mercy. Because that's the other side. If you're a business person, if you're an entrepreneur who and you're getting with somebody who is a serial saver, that could be a conflict.
That could be a conflict.
Now here's the caveat to that. Here's the exception to the rule. You don't necessarily want to have two entrepreneurs together. No. Somebody got to be the one putting up brakes somewhere. Because it's either going to go really right,
really wrong,
or really wrong. It's either going to go really right or really wrong. You know what I'm saying? Opposites attract for a reason.
Yes.
It's just how far on the spectrum that opposite is. For example, my wife and I'm not a big spender by no means, but I don't have a problem spending on something I know is going to make me money.
Right.
And when we got married, Vanessa had a problem spending.
I did.
Period. Like people say these days, with a T.
Period.
She had a problem spending. Period.
I did.
And so I'm up here trying to get this business off the ground and do stuff, and I'm having a fight every time I need to spend money.
Yep.
And I'm making money, but I'm having a fight to do that. And so, again, that wasn't a deal breaker for me because I understood the value of having a saver. A person that is going to be that is much value. A person that is going to have their eyes on the pulse of our finances. My job is to go grow it. I think about growing it. I think about how to make the money work. She thinks about how to make the money make sense and last and stretch and be there for when we need it, so that we can do whatever it is we want to do. So that's a perfect relationship. But if you're a person. But the extremes of that is what you got to look out for. If you're a super spender, you need a saver. But you also have to realize that saver is there for your benefit. And if you're a super saver, then you got to also give into that spender or the investor. Don't say the spender.
No, yeah.
You don't ever have to give into the spender.
Term.
The spender is just spending. That's another thing they got to go to counseling for, to figure out why they got to spend to feel good. But if you're with somebody who is an entrepreneur and they have great ideas and they want to invest, then you're there to give them brevity, levity, balance, and they're there to take you further out of your comfort zone so that y'all can grow together. Because it's that push and pull that's going to get you to where you got to go. Because that's what definitely worked in our lives, for sure. And once she understood that she was married to an entrepreneur and somebody who didn't have a problem taking chances, that was cool. And then whenever we had the conversation and then she said, "Okay, you just whatever you want to do."
Yep.
Then that put all the pressure on me to make sure that the moves I made were the right moves.
Right.
So how a person spends money, super important. What their relationship to money is, super important. Because like they say, the two things that ruin marriage is sex and money.
Yeah.
Arguments over sex and money, and all of that goes back to the number one rule: communication. So another red flag is how they deal with conflict.
Yeah.
You got something?
Yeah.
Because I got something.
Yeah.
You got something?
Yeah. How they deal with conflict. If that person is, I've been on, I guess I've lived two extremes, a few extremes. Because first of all, I did not grow up, with conflict in our home.
Mhm.
Mom and dad, they dealt with their issues or conflict away from us,
Mhm.
right? So the only conflict I had at times, with siblings,
Mhm.
okay. But mom and dad had a good handle on that. They allowed us to go only so far. But in my adult life, I learned that I didn't really like. There are times that I had to, and especially because of my career, because I was in, corrections and things like that. I was forced to. But and I learned a lot. I learned that I had to be that person. You know what I'm saying? I had to be that person to survive that kind of atmosphere. But in my personal life, I've never liked conflict. My way of dealing with conflict was to walk away.
Mhm.
I'm done.
And it's crazy that
You
you
know.
got two people who don't want to have conflict in their home.
Right.
And so what
Yeah.
happens a lot of times is nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Yeah. Which is not it's not
It's just
good.
not good.
So
I don't have a problem with conflict though.
Right.
I just don't like it.
Yeah. So I didn't naturally I don't like conflict. Now, when I have to deal with it, the problem was that it came out in such a a strong way, I guess a way that I fought back.
Yeah.
In many ways.
It was
Yeah.
no levels to your conflict.
No
it was
levels.
100 or 0.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, through our marriage, I've had to really learn how to deal with conflict in that kind of way. And it just depended on what the conflict was, because then there were times that I didn't want to deal with conflict and I go inside, I shut down.
That was that one.
Didn't-
Watch the episode
Right.
before this by
Right.
Husband and Grudge.
I would shut down. Yeah. That have nothing to say, because depending on what it was and how strong my emotions were about a situation, I realized that I would say things that were hurtful, potentially hurtful, because I wanted to just get you or anyone off of me.
So you were always like that?
Probably. Well, you'd have to ask my siblings.
No.
Yeah.
I'm talking about relationships.
Relationships.
Like
I didn't have, and it's funny because I never had conflict in relationships like that. We never went back and forth. No one treated me like that. It was always very respectful.
I think
you
no,
know?
you know what it is?
What?
It was respectful, but I think what it is they knew that having a conversation or a conflict with you
Mhm.
was going to end in you being like, okay, cool, we'll holler.
Maybe. I don't know.
Look,
But
so they just
I
avoided
never
it.
had.
Look,
Yeah.
they just
There was
avoided it
never
and
there was
enjoyed the
never-
time with you.
Right. But no, I just don't remember even having hard conversations with people.
Could that be because you weren't as invested?
Probably. And maybe they knew that.
Ooh, I'm gonna ask you something on the air. If,
What?
I'm gonna ask you something on the air that I never asked you before.
What?
How many people have you been in love with before me?
Probably one.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay. And y'all never had conflict?
No.
Wow.
Never. Never. I've never had conflict with anyone I dated.
See what I'm saying? So she loved that person and then she was just done.
Right.
Cause I'm done.
I was done. We and the thing about it is that we all just stayed friends.
Yeah.
If I met him, today, if I would see him somewhere, wave, hey, how you doing? Have a short, this is my husband, have a short conversation.
Yeah.
And that'll be it.
Yeah.
They respected me enough not to just walk out, or the relationship not end on bad terms. None of the relationships ended that way.
Yeah.
None.
That's because you were like,
Mhm.
I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I was just, I was done. But it
Yeah.
wasn't any craziness going on, any
Yeah,
foolishness, nothing like that.
so you've been consistent,
Right.
and I was never scared.
Never.
I was never scared.
Never.
I was never scared. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. But yeah. So conflict. When people, I saw a therapist one time on TV say that you should wait to have feelings for someone heavy, like to make big decisions about like lifetime things until you've had a disagreement, a real passionate disagreement, because you need to see how people deal with conflict. You need to see, you know what I'm saying? Because you never know, that person might be super duper quiet. And then whenever they get into a conflict, they become violent.
Yeah.
Just because y'all never had a conflict, I mean, you won't ever have a conflict. You know, just because they don't conflict with you don't mean that whenever you're out, they're going to conflict with everybody else, have conflict, have issue with everybody else and be violent.
Right.
And every time y'all go out, you're having to fight your way back to the car. You know what I'm saying? Those are important. And that's male or female.
Yes.
Male or female. So that's not a thing that's mutually, that's exclusive. So you got to see how they deal with conflict, and once you figure out how they deal with conflict, then you can react accordingly. Because again, I also know people who love drama.
There those.
I have family members who I ask all the time, how can you continue to go back to these people?
How? Yeah.
How do you find these people?
Right.
But you know what? That's another thing. Ooh, that was pretty good. People, I'm gonna look into my camera. People, you have a type. Now, if you've gone through your type 15 times, that ain't the type for you. That's the type you like because you like drama and you like conflict and you like makeup sex or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You like the quote unquote passion. That's not passion. That's dysfunction. That's dysfunction.
It is dysfunction.
That is dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? So look, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. That some people like that, but it don't ever end well.
Never. It
doesn't ever end well, and it doesn't last. So figure out if that's you. If you're the person that likes conflict, look, figure out, go get some counseling, do prayer, learn do something to get that thing that you like about the conflict, that lights your fire, and get, that you imagine, Lord, that, man, when she slapped my face, because that can go left quickly. Just find peace.
Yes.
Find peace. You can still have fire, but find peace. The constant on edge drama, you don't want that. I don't think anybody really wants that. Because there are people who have been hurt really badly and they act out. So everybody just really, just zone into that. So another one is job bouncing and complaining. Why'd you say that?
Because I've seen a little bit of that. And from my career, when you're in a career with other people and you just hear their stories, you hear about their jobs, and then you see how they operate at a job, and they are never ever satisfied. It's always something. Always something. So when you hear about where they've worked, where they've been, and then you kind of ask a few questions, and then you realize that they are the same way now, and it makes you question.
Are those people in good relationships? Were they in good relationships?
Some yes, and some no. Their personal relationships, I really didn't jump into that too much, but I just, from what I heard them say, what came out of their mouths about other jobs, and I'm like, ooh.
Well, when you have friends and they've been on 50 million jobs, not that you should stay on a job forever, but they're leaving jobs for the same reason.
For the same reason.
And you have surmised that the reason is them.
Right. Yeah.
You figured it out. It's
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
They're the reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's that's the problem. And like he says, it's not like we expect you to stay on the same job forever, but your actions, your words, says that, man, like example, you have a problem with authority. You think you know it all. There are many ways to resolve issues. There are many ways to do a job, but if someone asks you to do a job a certain way, just do it. It may not make sense.
Well, I mean, and it's not so much that about them doing the process. It's just the fact that they're never
They don't
satisfied.
right.
They're never satisfied.
And they don't like, I've noticed
Order
that
and structure.
that's right. They don't want to be told anything. They don't want to be told anything.
And there's some people that are in relationships like that, and they
Right.
find relationships that work, but those relationships generally don't work for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've given you a lot of information, y'all. We're gonna put we're gonna put these up for the screen, so you got all of these. You have how they deal with not 5. We got 7 red flags. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red flags on what to look out for. 7 red flags to look out for when deciding about a relationship. Number 1, how they deal with family, how they deal with people, what their friends are like, how they deal with money, how they deal with conflict, and whether they bouncing from job to job and complain about every single job every single time, and how they deal with their mom and their I say that?
Well, family.
Family. Anyway, they'll be posted.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are Better Marriage Daily, where we show you we give you tips on how to love each other in spite of each other. And I'm Sean.
And I'm V.
We'll holler.
Baby, I'm gonna take my time.